Hey guys, it's me Toby and welcome to Wrestling Heaven, and today we're going to be listening to the interview segments of this VHS tape. Hollywood Hogan, Why I Rule the World. And without further ado, let's begin listening to the audio clips. Yes, I know that there is matches and interview segments. We're only going to be listening to the interview segments, and I'll be reacting to each segment. Without further ado, let's begin.
The NWO I know, I'm Hollywood Hogan, and living with Hollywood means living large. I rule the world of professional wrestling, and as you'll see, I'm going to show that one person who's been living under a rock that Hollywood Hogan not only rules the world of wrestling, I rule the entire world.
What I think about this segment is the fact that saying that he rules the world is a little much. Maybe the wrestling world at this time, but he didn't say that. He said just the world. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this audio segment in the interview. Now let's listen to some more of Hulk Hogan.
So many fans want to know why the WCW? Why did you save it till last? Well, Hollywood crossed the continents. I went all over the world, from Madison Square Garden, Tokyo, Japan, San Francisco, and all points in between. And each and every time I hit an arena, I made sure I left my mark. I made sure they saw the pythons and they saw them raised in victory. And finally, to put the period on the end of my legacy, the last place I had to conquer, the last place I had to rule was the WCW. The Ric Flairs, the Stingers, the Steiners, and the Lugers all had to be put to rest. That's why I saved the best, the WCW, till last.
Personally, I think he was right about half of that. He did show his so-called pythons and stuff like that, but I don't think he chose WCW last for the best for last. I think it was just higher pay. Yeah, that's pretty much it, higher pay. Now let's listen to the next segment.
I had a plan. But what a lot of people didn't realize about Hollywood is I just don't do things. I plan things. That's why I use my stroke. I used my power. I used everything I had to make sure that timing, commitment, and intestinal fortitude all exploded at one given time. That's why my first match in the WCW was for the heavyweight title. And I knew once I got Flair down and beat him for the 1, 2, 3 count, the rest would have to come to me. And one by one, I picked them off and laid them to rest. That's why the WCW shakes in fear when they hear the name Hollywood.
Okay, so they give a little bit of insight on when he first came to WCW, which was a title match against Ric Flair. So I guess that's good to know. Honestly, not much needs to be said about that audio clip because, well, he pretty much said it all. I don't really have much of an opinion on this one. Now let's listen to the next audio clip from the Hulkster. From this tape, of course.
Fans of the NWO, they say, Hollywood, how did you survive the first few wars with Flair? Well, when I first came to the WCW, Flair gave me my toughest challenges. One by one, match by match, Flair tried to chip away at Hulkamania. But then I learned what he was all about. I watched his moves. I knew how he thought. I listened to his heartbeat. I watched him breathe. And slowly but slowly, I chipped away at this god, the WCW they had called Ric Flair. And at the end of the wars, Hollywood Hogan reigned supreme.
Basically, he said that he reigns supreme and that he watches Ric Flair breathe. That's totally creepy. I know what he tried to mean, that he's focused on his opponent, but no, that came out wrong. Anyways, let's listen to the next clip from this tape.
To realize is Jimmy Hart was actually good for me. When I first got to the WCW, I needed someone I could trust, someone I could confide in, someone I could talk about strategy with. And when we started getting on a roll, Jimmy Hart gets so close to me, I felt like I could trust him with my life. The victories came easy. The celebrations came easier. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Hart started to change, but I didn't see it. The fans saw it, they tried to warn me, but I ignored it. And then that judgment day came, and I realized that Jimmy Hart, just like everyone else in the WCW, had a price. He sold me out.
Well, this interview clip is pretty much storyline stuff. Nothing substantial to take out of this. So I'm going to keep moving forward. On to the next clip.
Strongest power in the world of professional wrestling. And when I came to the WCW, I proved I was better than any of the WCW wrestlers. But the fans were loyal to the guys that have been there all through those years, the Flairs, the Stingers, the Steiners, and Lex Luger. And all of a sudden I realized that the training, the prayers, and the vitamins were cool for everyday life. But when it came to the ring, the fans didn't care about that. They were loyal to what they knew, and they couldn't accept the greater power of Hulkamania. That's when I decided to turn the tables on them. If I made a move they didn't like, who cared as long as it led me on to victory? If I made a move that beat one of their so-called established heroes, who cared as long as it led me on to victory? That led me to Bash at the Beach, when I had to prove to all the people at WCW that I felt just like they did about me.
Wow, a lot to unpack here. Basically, that was part storyline and part true. Basically, Hulk Hogan came to the WCW for a higher paycheck. Yeah, he did. He had creative control, so yeah, part of that was true, part of it wasn't. It's a lot to unpack in that clip. So I'm just going to move on to the next clip and see what we've got.
Over the world of professional wrestling, WCW, I decided I had to get the best guys to stand by me. I made calls on the QT. I talked all around the world, and I attracted the greatest talent. Because where Hollywood goes, that's where professional wrestling goes. And once I had my team of loyal men, it wasn't long. The WCW was weak in the knees. Just the sight of Hollywood and his crew, the NWO, scared them to death. They fell, and they fell fast at 5 feet.
Okay, so in this interview segment, Hulk Hogan basically talks about the NWO, aka the New World Order, and how, in storyline wise, and I guess in real life wise, it was taking over the WCW. And the reason I say in real life is because it was that much of a success. Now let's move on.
It's not a perfect world, and there must be sacrifices. And even friendship sometimes has to be sacrificed to get what you want. And at Hog Wild, I faced one of the biggest men I'd ever seen in the ring. And at 500 pounds, 7'4", I knew I had my day's work cut out for me. But when I heard thousands of Harley Davidsons, the brothers of the road, screaming for Hollywood and NWO, I knew what I had to do. Quick, fast, I had to take it down. That was my first NWO World Heavyweight title. And on that day, on that night, I branded the belt with our logo, NWO, the order that was here forever, the New World Order.
Well, in this interview segment, they basically talk about the first NWO title win for Hulk Hogan against the Giant, aka Big Show. So, yeah, I guess that was a good interview segment. I don't see anything wrong with it. But let's move on.
A lot of people don't understand Eric Bischoff. Him and I have a common bond. We're exactly alike. You ride the horse until it drops, and then you shoot it and you eat it. If you're not worthy of being an NWO, we eliminate you. Eric and I have a bond. If I can't keep up, cut me out. And if he can't keep up, I'll cut him out. Out of the ring, brother, he's as good as gold. But in the ring, he'd sell his soul to protect Hollywood and the NWO. That's what I like about him. We're exactly alike.
I'm sorry, but I was mostly distracted about how they said that they're loyal, but they would stab each other in the back and they would shoot a horse. Yeah, this part was a little confusing on the metaphor, but moving on, I guess. Let's listen to the next clip.
The belt to Lex Luger was one of the most embarrassing situations Hollywood's ever faced. You know, without a moment's notice, they threw me in the ring. It's like asking Jack Nicholson to act without a camera, or Babe Ruth to hit a home run without a bat. I mean, my God, talk about an unbelievable situation.
An actor to act without a camera. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's pretty easy to do if you're an actor. Now, the whole Babe Ruth hitting a home run without a bat, that might be harder to do. So half the metaphor made sense. Let's just continue.
But I proved, with just a little bit of preparation, I could bury Lex Luger and take my belt back that he stole. It wasn't hard, but I guarantee you, it'll never happen again.
Oh, trust me, in hindsight 2023, as of the recording of this, yeah, you're gonna lose your belt again. That's my thought. And also fact. Now, let's begin with the next clip, shall we?
Talk about stacking the deck, Jack. Well, this stinger really makes me sick. You talk about an egotistical material person, that's Sting. He had Ted Turner, he had Schiller, he had the whole corporation in the big Eiffel Tower behind him. He was guarded by security. Every time the NWO got on a roll, they were dropping him in the building, springing him in the exits from all different areas of the building. It was a premeditated attack by Turner to try to get his company back.
Egotistical? Really? I mean, that's the entire NWO, and you think Sting's that? Wow. Just no comment. Wow. Let's continue.
About stacking the deck, Jack. Well, this stinger really makes me sick. You talk about an egotistical material person, that's Sting. He had Ted Turner, he had Schiller, he had the whole corporation in the big Eiffel Tower behind him. He was guarded by security. Every time the NWO got on a roll, they were dropping him in the building, springing him in the exits from all different areas of the building. It was a premeditated attack by Turner to try to get his company back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ted Turner still had his company this whole time. You were just basically the face of it. So this part, fiction. Parts of this is fact, and parts of this is fiction in the interviews, probably to sell storylines and more tapes, but yeah, you get the idea. Let's continue.
Even with a corporate push of the whole Ted Turner organization behind Sting, I knew I could beat him. The moment he came into the ring with thousands of fans on his side, the old WCW fans, I knew I had him. Just one look in his eyes, and I saw the fear of God. Just one look in his eyes, and I knew that he could never beat me. That's why I drug him through the mud. That's why I took so long torturing him. That's why I had him bow at my feet and say, yes, Hollywood, you're the man. Yes, Hollywood, you made wrestling.
Okay, I think half of this is fact. Yes, he technically did make wrestling as popular as it is today. He was one of the founders, so to speak. And no, he did not. The whole smack talk about Sting being a coward, not fact. That's storyline. If that's even storyline, that could just be totally made up. Anyways, let's move along.
When I was about to bury the stake in his heart, I didn't calculate the final stone. The unturned stone. Brett, the hitman Hart, was on the payroll. That's what upset the apple cart that Hollywood was about to push. But that wasn't over then.
I know I sort of got sidetracked. the fact that this is Hulk Hogan's interview thing, but I totally forgot Bret Hart was in WCW, to be completely honest. I knew him as a WWF wrestler. Now let's continue. This was just a short, small interview clip, and then they added another match, but we're only going to listen to the interview clips. So let's move on to the next one. Nothing to really say.
The one thing I can say about the Macho Man is he's real consistent in the ring. I mean, every time he's in the ring with Hollywood, he always loses. That's why I knew when I had a chance to get the WCW/NWO belt back that was stolen from us, I knew the Macho Man would be an easy kill. I just had to decide how much fun I was going to have with him.
An easy kill. You heard it here first, folks. Hulk Hogan is going to kill Macho Man. I'm just kidding. It's a figure of speech. Anyways, let's continue and listen to what else Hulk Hogan has to say on this VHS.
The first time I've seen this happen, it's happened with promoters, it's happened with other wrestlers, but with a Macho Man and Kevin Nash, I saw the cancer growing, reading their own publicity, getting too full of themselves, patting each other on the back, all added to their big mistake, thinking they were larger than the sport and more powerful than Hollywood. I saw it. Mutiny on the Bounty.
In this segment, he basically talks about how the other wrestlers are full of themselves, even though this is Hulk Hogan talking. Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Yeah, he's more full of himself than any other wrestler I've ever seen. Let's continue. Shall we?
Hero worship. Goldberg, my hero. Not. You know, when you attack a wounded animal, after Page and Malone sabotaged Hollywood, Goldberg came along and tried to pick up the pieces. I dare you, Goldberg. When I'm healthy and on a normal day to step in the ring with Hollywood, you couldn't even lace my boots. Too much, too fast, too big an ego. I've watched in the back. I see how you treat people. I see how you treat yourself. You're not the man people think you are, and I will prove that before I'm dead and gone.
He is definitely the man they think that he is, because Goldberg had a streak of over 100 matches, and he wrestled for years and years and years and has a following to this day, actually, even though he doesn't wrestle anymore. Kind of like you, Hulk Hogan. Anyways, let's continue.
Once I've said, where Hollywood goes, so does professional wrestling. Ash was the focus of the world. And at Bash at the Beach, 98, all the celebrities, all the media had their eyes on Hollywood. But I used it just for a strategic attack on Don Dallas Page, to build his confidence, to make him feel he was a player, so that later down the road, I could pull my down card. What a setup.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that this entire tape is going to be mostly storyline stuff that's going to get outdated quickly after this tape is released, which of course it was in 1998, so the storyline stuff didn't make sense like a year later anyways, and then there's match bits, which we're not showing, so let's just continue to listen to Hulk Hogan talk, I guess, from the interviews on this tape.
You know, when I think about it, it was kind of a joke because I could have beaten either one of those guys at any time. But as I was taking care of some of the old WCW fans on the outside, breaking bones and scarring faces, Jay Leno slipped one over on my friend Eric Bischoff. You're going to pay for that, DDP. And Jay Leno, your day is coming too, my friend. I just might drag you behind my Harley next time I see you.
Breaking bones and scarring faces. Yikes. Just yikes.
So many people ask me, why did you retire, Hollywood? Jay Leno. I was having fun. I wanted to put the wrestling business in checkmate. I didn't retire, I was just tired. Pun on words, maybe, but I did it for a reason. I wanted to show the wrestling business without Hollywood, it couldn't survive. Without Hollywood, the numbers, the ratings would pummel. Without Hollywood, the luster and the electricity would all be gone. So I proved my point. And not only did I prove my point, I also put my hat in the ringer for the presidency of the United States. Because when I run for president, I'll be the first man to run this country that is also the world heavyweight champion.
Wow, Hulk Hogan for president. Imagine that. But other than that, not wow. Just wow.
The whole world's a stage. And when I'm out on the water, I like to perform. So when the NWO's with me, we ride in the NWO Scarab. Painted from head to toe with Hollywood. Check it out.
The next scene I'll just tell you, since there's no interview segments and it's also not actual wrestling, it's him riding his boat on the lake with the NWO stuff all over the side of the boat. And now for the next and probably last interview segment on the tape.
Earlier this year, with Ric Flair as president of the WCW, life got very interesting. Oh yeah, he pushed a lot of my buttons, made me jump like a cat on a hot tin roof. There was nothing I couldn't handle. I just had to be quicker than him and smarter than him. And I knew with the pressure, I knew with Hollywood down his throat, he wouldn't last. It was kind of fun.
Okay, so I was wrong. There's one more audio clip after this, and let's have a listen.
You know, so many people say, Hollywood, why are you so cocky? Why are you so arrogant with everything you owe the wrestling business? You've got fame, you've got fortune, and a quality of life that no other wrestler ever had. Well, the way I look at it, the shoe's on the other foot, my friends. You know, I'm the one that made wrestling what it is today. When I first got in this business, there were a bunch of wrestlers traveling up and down the highway, 5 or 6 in a car for just a couple $100 a week. Real small arenas, real small venues. There wasn't a lot of money to be made. Then I hit the business, I made the scene, and I changed all that. I had the big picture, a greater vision. And with the merchandise, the ancillary rights, the animated cartoon series, I changed wrestling as it's known. Today, wrestling is big business because of me. I made the promoters see that a character, we could exploit that character and turn it into big bucks, turn body slams into millions of dollars. And so what does wrestling owe me? They owe me more than they've already given me.
I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but the last segment is mostly true. Like, actually true. Not just storyline true, but actually true. And yeah, if you enjoyed this podcast, video, audio thing, you know what to do. Bye.